Well, welcome once again to ARTBreak, everyone. I think for most of us who have seen a performance of modern dance, if nothing else, we can really appreciate the skill and the training of the dancers that go into really revealing the remarkable expressive possibilities of the human body. But beyond that, what are we really seeing? And today we'll have a chance to sort of address that question and really look at modern dance from the inside, how a dance is envisioned and created, some of the things the choreographer has to consider in the creative process, both practical and aesthetic, and ultimately, what should we be looking for when so we can better appreciate what we're seeing. Well, to discuss, we're very pleased to have with us Marisa Bianan, and Marisa is the Associate Artistic Director at Wellspring Cori Terry Dancers. And I think, as almost all of you know by now, that this, for the past more than 40 years, this has really been a vital cultural institution in Kalamazoo and one of the few small community professional modern dance companies. I should say Marisa is also the coordinator of the Wellspring Academy. And if you didn't happen to know, the Wellspring offers classes from ages 3 up to adult that perhaps you might be interested in. So as a dancer, a choreographer, and a teacher, I think Marisa has sort of the unique background and insights to really help us further understand, appreciate, and ultimately engage with modern dance. So please welcome Marisa Bianan.
Bear with me, I'm a little bit shorter than Greg. Thank you for that lovely introduction. As Greg said, I'm Marisa Bianan. I'm the Associate Artistic Director for Wellspring Cori Terry Dancers, as well as the Dance Academy Coordinator. We are celebrating our 43rd year of presenting professional, beautiful, awesome, amazing modern dance to the community. Yes, thank you. I would like to take a moment to thank the Kalamazoo Institute of the Arts for providing events such as this, moments for us to gather together, take a little break from our day and just discuss art or what is sort of provoking us in this moment in time. I would just like to thank you all for joining me. Bear with me, I'm typically dancing, not talking, so we'll be through this together. I want to start with just a little icebreaker. We can get up and moving a little bit. I'd like you to find potentially someone new in the room that you maybe don't know or maybe aren't super friendly with. And I just want to get a little bit of a feel in the room of our experience with dance. This does not have to be typical modern dance in a theater, but just thinking about where you've maybe seen dance before. So I'll give you guys just a few minutes. You'll ask your new friend, maybe introduce yourself first. But have you seen dance before? And if yes, what style of dance? This may be, I went to the Wellspring Theater and saw a modern dance performance, or it could be something along the lines of, I watch the Super Bowl every year, and at halftime they have these many people run out onto the stadium and do a little dance. And I want you to just take a moment to reflect on what that experience was like. Did you feel inspired, confused, energized? How did it make you feel, and what did you maybe take away from it? Maybe you wanted to hear that song again. Maybe you wanted to try that move that you saw. So take a few minutes, mingle about, and then we'll come back. I'll give you guys about 4 minutes or so.
Hello. I studied with Eric.
Oh my goodness.
I was his equipment manager. Cori opened so many opportunities that she doesn't know about New York. She got me a scholarship to Cori Terry.
Oh my goodness, what is your name?
Robert Travis, you like her. Yeah, I'm so excited you're here. This professional photographer. You can friend me on Facebook. Just go to Bob Travis.
Yeah.
I want to take classes.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you my greatest accomplishment as choreographer. I worked with Allesee.
Oh, okay.
He was so suburban. He said more than 2 words to it. Not confused. He watched me practicing in the gym. He thought his martial arts was teaching him dance. We started taking me to the red belt. They were shocked at how good I was. I didn't think I was good, more than you do. No, am I wrong? Am I wrong, sister?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, because we're all
you get complimented. You're like, yeah.
Oh, just that's for someone else.
So can we please stay in contact? I think
Yes, yeah. I'm glad that I have this. I don't have any business cards with me.
No.
But yes, I'll get you on Facebook, Bob Traxler.
Right, but this is just, first of all, my goodness, 43 years.
I know.
I started with
my jaw drops.
I was taking anyway, I get real talk. I don't want to hold you up, but so anyway, this is great.
Okay, wow. Thank you for those words as I go into this.
So I've been in touch with Christina Burgess, continuing Hawkins tradition.
Okay.
Are you familiar with her?
I don't know her name.
Did you ever meet Eric?
I've never met her, no.
What an exception.
But I'm just in the pictures that you see, the way that he holds himself.
Okay,
you can just tell he's this.
I also studied under Barbara. I spent 3 years in New York.
Oh my goodness, you might see one of her photos. We have a photo of Eric that I'm
By the way,
today.
I'm so impressed with the photography of those photos.
Oh, why thank you.
No, pass that on.
I will.
And I'm really impressed you mentioned your name, because I don't have anything to mention. Anyway, so let's get together I'm married, I'm a grandfather, five grandchildren.
Oh, congratulations.
My wife works at a nursing home. I work at a nursing home. But anyway, so I worked with this kid downstairs. I was in the other room one day. He said, when he was going to the owner, he said, I love Bob. She looked at me and said, did you go over and hugged him? Because we're separate, there's things that makes. So this is
express something.
Well, no, but they can accept.
Yeah.
So this is really wonderful that you're here.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that.
Can I give a little hug?
Yes, of course.
Oh, God bless you.
Well, I hope you enjoy the presentation. All right, let's take another 30 to 60 seconds with your partner. All right, let's slowly bring it back to the room. Would anyone like to share their experience or potentially partner share together? Maybe what style of dance you saw, and let's talk about maybe what you took away and what that felt like. Do we have any volunteers?
The lady I was talking to dance in various foreign countries. You know, it's interesting that you have dance all over the place here, and you go to Vienna and wow, we must see the so-and-so, and then you go to see something there because you're in Vienna and you can see dance.
Yes, thank you for the live stream audience. We do have an audience member that just shared that when you go to other countries, you also see dance. So whenever you're in the US, wherever you're traveling, you see maybe contemporary, ballet, modern, and then once you pursue these other countries, you start to then be exposed to their more cultural dances, their folk dances, their cultural voice coming through. Yeah, it's really awesome. And that's when you get into sort of different layers of movement and such. Yes, please.
Judy has every decade almost chosen a new form of dance that she's doing. Right now she's doing ballroom.
Right. So we had for the live stream audience, another audience member who shared, she's a friend who every decade chooses a different style of dance to sort of train in. I love that because dance, there is this sort of thread. We talk about this string that connects it all together, but what hangs on that string is so different, and it can really unearth different dynamics within yourself, different personalities within you. Ballroom for sure gives you a little bit more spice, but it can also give you a lot more trust, right? So ballroom dancing being a lot of partnering. Thank you. Anyone else to share? All right, we will keep going. Can I have a quick show of hands of anyone who's maybe seen a modern dance company perform, just so we have an idea? All right, lots of hands, yay! Okay, amazing. Anyone confused after that experience? Another show of hands. Yeah, loud and proud. All right, so we're going to start with the biggest question right off the bat. What is modern dance? As you'll see, the photo that I'm using today, this is actually a photo that we just took last month for our season photo shoot. It was by Nia Crowley. So a brief history lesson. Modern dance roughly began around 1880. Historically, dancers broke away from the ballet world, searching for a freer form of dance that they could truly express themselves through. With that said, modern dance has a very layered relationship with ballet. You'll see very similar shapes, lines, but the dynamic and energy varies drastically. In modern dance, the dance is typically performed in bare feet, knowing that ballet dance typically took place in toe shoes, whether that be soft or the hard point shoes that they would wear. The bare feet helps the modern dancers ground to the floor. As you see, modern dance also goes in and out of the floor quite a bit. The photo that we have of Merce Cunningham's dance company, you can sort of see that way that you have to use the floor to support these various shapes and lifts that you would like to perform in your choreography. Modern dance also deals with a lot of physics. A lot of people get surprised when they hear that we talk about science in the dance space, but it is very scientific. We talk about weight, momentum, levers, things like that, so we can get bodies off of the floor, right? We don't see a body and see it as weight, we see it as potential. In modern dance, we also practice a little bit more pedestrian. This is a way that dancers refer to humans walking day to day on the sidewalk. You'll see similar walking patterns, similar shapes that you might see in day-to-day life in modern dance, whereas in ballet, maybe that's potentially amplified a little bit to make it more presentational. And lastly, in modern dance, there's a lot more fluidity between the rotation of the legs, right? In ballet, everything is turned out, rotated from the top of the leg, which is very presentational, very open. In modern dance, sometimes we'll have that parallel rotation, very strong, think like a political stance, maybe more of a speaker stance. And then you also have internal rotation. That would be when your knees or your toes are sort of pointing towards the center. And that would give more of this closed off feeling. So we can see how these range of rotation can add a little bit more variation to the movement. Now we'll get into more of the history of it all. Bear with me. Modern dance is often broken down into 3 different periods: the early, the middle, and the late. The early period took place roughly from 1880 to 1923. This was the time that dancers really started to split away from the ballet world to create their own style of dance. These are also known as the modern pioneers. We have names such as Isadora Duncan, Ruth St. Denis, Ted Shawn, they formed Dennis Shawn together, Doris Humphrey, and Loie Fuller. You can see Isadora Duncan and her students, she called them the Isadorables. You will see them with their costuming on. Any comments from the audience on what you might notice in their costuming, facing, how they're oriented to each other? You might notice how they are a bit draped in their costuming, right? When we think about that ballet costuming, it's typically tight, very held together, almost a corset. With them, they wanted to have this freedom. A lot of Isadora Duncan's movement took place outside. She found a lot of inspiration from nature. After the early period, we then go into the middle period. These are names such as Lester Horton, Martha Graham, Pearl Primus, Eric Hawkins, Jose Limon is another one. This was a period of delineation. A lot of these dancers existed in spaces together, but then they chose to break away and codify and establish their own techniques. So you may recognize some of these names: Graham, Hawkins, Horton. These are artists that they chose to break away from ballet, but then they said, no, there's still some structure though. Yeah. Once we get into the late period, these are names such as Troy Tharp, Catherine Dunham, Alvin Ailey, Pilobolus. This is the time of growth, right? The 40s and moving on, we had many different advances as far as technology, society, the way that we are interacting with each other, the way we're integrating more. This is the time of fluidity. We have the birth of contemporary dance during this period. That is the fusing of other dance styles. So if we think about modern dance plus fill in the blank. So here we have just a few images of modern dance. I want to open up the floor and just to see if there are any comments on what you notice, or maybe if you have any knowledge of the photos in front of you. Yes, please, from the front.
Eric, Barbara Morgan, photographer.
Thank you. Someone from the audience pointed out the center photo. We were actually having a brief conversation before, and one of our audience members knows the photographer actually that shot this, and I was like, I wonder. So we have Eric Hawkins right at the center. Cori Terry, our artistic director and founder, actually trained under Eric Hawkins for quite some time in New York. She's originally from Brooklyn and has always had such a great affiliation and passion for modern dance. So naturally, when she came to Kalamazoo, she wanted to amplify that and celebrate it here. The costuming that you'll actually see them in is from New Moon. That is a piece that was originally choreographed in 1989. The company actually performed this work right here in Kalamazoo with original dancer Laura Pettibon. She came and she taught us all of the choreography in junction with Cori Terry, and we got to perform in the original costumes as well. So we had to get those mailed to us and we had to pick them up and be very gentle with them. You could even see the elastics, kind of the way that they're strained after many, many decades of gracing the stage. Yes, in the back.
Because I used to take modern dance. So we studied pro primus.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's one of my favorite dancers. I loved how she incorporated a lot of African and Caribbean dances into American modern dance.
Yes, thank you. Yes, for the live stream audience, we had someone from the audience share that they are quite passionate about pro primus and their choreographic career and their impact on dance. She did take a lot of her Black heritage and then impose that into her movement. This photo is actually from her piece, very famous work, African Ceremonial, that was originally performed in 1944. And this work attested to the early studies of Black heritage for her. So she was very passionate, you can imagine in the 40s, presenting dance as a Black woman, not an easy feat, but she did not let that deter her, which is quite inspiring. Any other comments on any photos? Yes, please.
Martha Graham.
Yeah.
Solar plexus, pulling in, bending, movement toward the center.
Yes, thank you. We had another audience member share, Martha Graham, that idea of the solar plexus yielding. A lot of her movement has this sort of suffering, this agony, this tension in it that's oddly beautiful. Any other comments? In the top left corner, we have Alvin Ailey performing Revelations. This was a piece that was originally performed in 1960. This is one of the greatest, opinion, works in the modern dance catalog. If you have 25 minutes to spare, I highly encourage you to Google it. There is a YouTube video that I believe is the full entirety of the work, and it is quite inspiring. You'll find yourself crying, you'll find yourself smiling. It is the most impactful, one of the most impactful works. And then we have Pilobolus in the upper right-hand corner. This is a company that was founded, and they are actually physicians, or physics students, that said, hey, I think if we just approach this dance as a way of levers, we can do some really awesome, athletic, provoking choreography. There are countless contributors to modern dance. I find that quotes from these great prolific modern choreographers helps provide insight into modern dance and its creation. We have a quote from Isadora Duncan. Could I have a volunteer read this out to the audience? or I'm happy to. Oh, yes? Please, thank you.
Now I am going to reveal to you something which is very pure, a totally white thought. It is always in my heart. It blooms at each of my steps. The dance is love. It is only love, it alone, and that is enough. It is amorously that I dance to poems, to music, but now I would like to no longer dance to anything by the rhythm of my soul.
Thank you for reading. Any comments on Isadora's statement? Yes.
I was wondering what she meant by a totally white thought.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. For the live stream audience, we had an audience member ask, I'm curious what she said, a totally white thought. I don't know exactly what she meant by that, but my understanding is it's sort of this very impossible to sort of block out, right? Even if I go into some sort of state of panic, of frenzy, or maybe a moment of complete silence in you, trying to think about how you can make a blanket statement about what dance is. So I think with her, she's trying to find that this at its core, when she's still thinking about dance, this is her conclusion of what dance is. We had another comment, the gentleman in the front.
Yeah, so the last sentence, I expected a but, and it says by, but where it says, but now I would like to no longer dance to anything by the rhythm of my soul. And I'm not sure what that means.
Right. I think it's her finding that idea of, for the live stream audience, I keep forgetting to repeat. For the live stream audience, there was a comment from the audience saying, questioning why it says anything by the rhythm of my soul instead of anything but the rhythm of my soul. And I think it's that idea of by is sort of an accompaniment, right? Even though I'm dancing to my soul, right? It's sort of my partner. So it's seeing that soul as something a little bit wider. Yeah. It's my personal interpretation. We had another comment.
It was the exact same comment.
Oh, yeah.
That's my brother.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. Realized we had the same comment from a brother-sister duo. All right, we have one more quote. This one is from Jose Limon. He's a Mexican-born American choreographer. A lot of his work incorporated themes from literature, history, or religion. Could I have a volunteer read this quote? Thank you.
A single gesture can be phrased in different ways, smoothly, sharply, slowly, rapidly. It can be performed in its entirety or broken into its component parts. The basic and all-important principle is never forgotten, that movement, in order to have power and eloquence and beauty, must spring from the organic center of the body. It must have its source and impulse from the breathing of the lungs and the beating of the heart. It must be intensely and completely human, or it will be gymnastics and be mechanically and empty.
Thank you for reading. Yes, mechanical and empty. Thank you for reading. Pretty bold statement. Any comments on Jose Limon's statement? Yes.
Does this exclude people who are klutzes and can't dance? just love to see bodies in motion and people doing things, and I think that's a very nice feeling that I get as I watch these people in motion, but I can't do it.
Right, thank you. We had an audience member share, right, we might be a little bit klutzy ourselves, so a lot of the times we engage and watch dance so we can be inspired and see the capabilities of the human body, right? And that sort of idea of the beauty, the awesomeness, the eloquence, the power that you get from that performance is something truly it's hard to verbalize because it's something that lives deep within you, and you see that movement, it lands in you, and you have a guttural response to it, whether it be disgust. There's been choreographers who have made pieces that have thrown the audience out of their seats, furious. Then there are other ones where the audience is ovation, ovation, ovation after ovation of wanting to see more and more beauty. Thank you. You had a comment?
What really inspires me as a choreographer is children and the randomness of their movements. And when you see them doing something, a task, like moving up the trailer from a truck, and you hear them singing this, and they don't really, they blur the difference between work and play.
Yes, thank you. We had an audience member share that they have experience choreographing and they find inspiration from kids a lot of the time. It's nice to look at kids, right? We have this idea of, as adults, we hold ourselves in a way to show whatever we would like to show. Kids lack that sort of lens and they move without inhibition. So I second your thought. I like to look at youth and how they interact with each other, because you see that human interaction at a very base level without maybe social information informing what that interaction should be like. Thank you. Yes, one more.
Oh, I just like the last line of it. And I think particularly because I've studied African dance and I've been to Botswana, so the way that people in Botswana dance is completely different, and the way that they learn dance is completely different than how they learn dance, I feel like, in the United States. And I think that people focus on more counts. And there, when they do learn dance, it's kind of like, it's like, well, you do some of the choreography, but then you just go off of whatever feelings you have based on the music and the rhythm. So I think that what he's saying, like, speaks to that, how people outside in other countries learn how to dance and how they learn how to feel the music.
Yes, thank you. Beautiful insight. We had an audience member share. She's had some time studying in Botswana, some different choreography, and what really stood out to her is this last sentence, this idea, it must be intense and completely human, the breathing of the lungs and the beating of the heart. It speaks to those communities that maybe they don't have the means to have this giant orchestra playing with them. So they have these 5 percussionists that are with them that are drumming, but then it turns into more this community-oriented dance, and it's a shared experience between those performers in that community. Thank you for that. So now that we have a basic understanding of what modern dance is, we're going to talk about some choreographic tools. We can think about this a little bit as a toolbox. So we use an acronym in dance frequently known as BAST. These are known as the 5 elements of choreography. These are the sort of tools that a choreographer keeps in mind when they have a concept, whatever that may be. They want to sort of pay attention to these little tools so that they can try to make everything working towards that one common goal. We will start with B, which is body. Body entails the physical instrument. You can think about how the body looks that you are looking, or how the body is presenting itself to you. Is the shape symmetrical? Does it seem to be balanced? Does the right and left side look exactly the same? What shape is the body making? Is it something pedestrian, right? We have simple gestures that we do in everyday life. I see someone, right? Sitting, oh no, not to call you out. But we have these simple gestures, right? If we have our chin, maybe that's a contemplative, maybe that's a listening. If we put our hands on our head, maybe this is a moment of, ooh, I need to cool down, right? We can ask if the body is curved or if it's very angular. If there's curves, right, that might be a little bit softer of a dance. If we have these angles, it might feel a little more aggressive in nature. And what part of the body is moving? Sometimes in dance, you'll notice that they're isolating body parts. Maybe it's just the hand that's moving. And then it makes you wonder, why is no other part of that person moving? And maybe you infer there's some sort of restriction in that human at that time. What else could you maybe notice about the body?
If it's flexible.
If it's flexible, yes. We had an audience member notice if the body is flexible, right? As audience members, it's hard to not notice the awesomeness of the dancers and their physical instrument and what it can achieve, right? So using that flexibility towards your concept, you might need a dancer who can contort their body because you want them to look like a chair. So you have to find that dancer that can embody that chair that you would like to put on the stage. Any other insights or any other thoughts on what you might notice about the body? Yes.
I always look for the contraction, how well it's done. And sometimes I'll see a performer which is done well, but the women seem better at the contraction than the men do. Am I wrong?
I think that's a longer conversation. But we had an audience member mention that he really enjoys to see the contraction. So for those who may not know what that technical term is, a contraction refers to the head and tail coming together in modern dance. So your body sort of makes a C shape in its spine. And this shape can really be an area of tension, of uncomfortability, of discomfort, right? It sort of shows that working towards the center, you can think, oh, like a stomach ache, right? When your stomach hurts, you fold over, right? That's sort of what a contraction is in dance. And if you see that shape, odds are that person is going through a struggle, or that concept is dealing with struggle or pain. Next, we have A for action. I'm sure it's no surprise that dancers are moving in modern dance. And movement can be divided into two separate categories. We have non-locomotive, which is stationary. I'm being non-locomotive currently. I can move my arms still, I can still move my body, but my body stays in the same space. Then we have locomotive action. Think about a train moving throughout space. This can be in a gliding capacity. This can be in a jumping capacity, a running, a walking. So I want you all to close your eyes for a second. And we'll imagine that there's one dancer on the stage. They stand alone, arms crossed, looking panicked. And around the one dancer, the rest of the company, let's say 10 dancers, are running freely and swirling about with arms flinging, tossing, flailing in a circular pattern around this one individual dancer. Now I'd like you to open your eyes. What might you infer from that sort of action, this visualization that we have of this one dancer being swirled around by a full company of dancers? What might that stir up in you seeing that? Yes, thank you.
Support. You need that support.
Support, thank you. Right, that idea of I'm here alone and I see all these people racing around me. I wish they would maybe stop and let me join in. Maybe that's a little bit. Any other feelings? Yes.
My first thought was that the person at the center has some power or special importance, but then it occurred to me it actually could be just the opposite. The person at the center could be a kind of a victim or being surrounded or attacked.
Yes, thank you. We had an audience member share. Initially, he was under the impression that one individual might be the one holding the power, that position of power. But then as the visualization unfolded, he said, oh, it actually might be the opposite. I think we have more of the people around them holding the power and maybe this individual being attacked or sort of centered in some sort of way in the center of this surrounding chaos. Thank you, beautiful observations. Moving on, S is for space. Regarding space, we're looking at where the action takes place. There's a few different ways choreographers think about space. The first being level. Is the movement on the ground? Is it tabletop, sort of this walking plane? Or is it up high with jumps, leaps, bodies tossing into the air? We have direction. Does the movement move forward? Is it very eyes forward? Does it move backwards? Does it move sideways? Do we have a counterpart sort of staying in front of us? Does it move diagonally? Then we talk about place. Where is the dancer placed on the stage in relationship to the audience? Are they close to the audience, right in their face? Or are they all the way at the back of the stage, so you can barely even see the dancer all the way up there? We have orientation. Which way are the dancers facing? There's a piece that I've seen where the dancers actually face upstage. They face away from the audience the whole time, but they actually have a mask on the back of their head. So you're a little like, oh, that's not their face. Well, why aren't they showing me their face? Why is it this other one? Size, is the movement small and narrow, confined, or is it free, large, and grand? And last is relationship. How are the dancers positioned in relation to one another? Are they in front of, behind, beside, under, over? I understand that space is a lot, and we're looking at a big empty space here. I would like if we maybe have 5 volunteers. We'll just be doing some standing. But if we could have maybe 5 volunteers join me up front, we're gonna do a little bit of a spatial exploration with some bodies. Yes, please. Yeah, please just come on up. Thank you. Do we have 2 more brave souls? If not, we can work with 3. That's okay. Thank you. 1 more. I do need an odd number. No. Oh, we'll have a Maya join us too. This is our executive director, Kate Yancho, as well as our office operations coordinator, Amaya McKenzie. So I would like to have us show a few different spatial relationships. So I'm going to step away just for a second. If I can have 1 person, let's have Amaya stand here. And then let's have the 4 other bodies stand side by side, facing Amaya. So thinking a line, like so. Yes. And then Amaya, you can face the other 4. So here in the space, we have oriented the 5 volunteers. There are 4 bodies facing 1 body. They have about 20 feet in between them. We have an individual and then a group facing off. What might be from the audience? What do you maybe see or what do you maybe feel from this facing? Alienation is a word, yes. Opposition, yes, definitely. Outnumbered, exactly. So let's try a different orientation. Let's have 2 from the group of 4 switch places with Amaya. Yeah, and then let's have Amaya, you stand in the center actually. And let's have the 2 sort of sandwiching facing each other. And then Amaya, let's have you face the audience. And then if you could, oh, excuse me, sorry. The 2 on the side, keep facing into Amaya. Yes, and then Amaya will face, exactly. So Amaya, let's have you look right and look left, just sort of over and over. What does this orientation or this spacing maybe tell you, or how does it feel? Maybe we have 2 groups, 2 ideas that Amaya is considering. Yes.
It makes Maya seem like a soloist.
A soloist, yeah, exactly. This could very much be a cohort surrounding someone that they want to celebrate, right? Let's try just 1 more different orientation. Let's have everyone stand in a line. Shoulder to shoulder, yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll slowly back up away from the audience. So for those that are on the live stream, we had the 5 bodies stand close to the audience. You guys can pause before you hit the wall. And then they slowly walked away from the audience, keeping their eyes forward as they move together as a group. How did that maybe feel from the audience, having those 5 walk away from you? Or maybe how did it feel for the bodies walking away?
Easier to walk forward.
Yes, easier to walk forward for sure.
Felt like a farewell or goodbye.
A farewell or goodbye, right? There's sort of a retreat, a slow retreat. Maybe to the fact that it's slow, it has that idea of maybe I'm not ready to go yet, right? Imagine if they were to run backwards. We won't have them do that. It would be dangerous. But imagine how that would maybe feel different from the audience's perspective. Thank you, volunteers. Trucking right along, we have T for time. Time refers to the movement. Is it quick? Is it slow? Is it repeated frequently? Is there counts to the music? Or does it seem to be sort of a free rhythm? We can talk a little bit about the music choice as well here when it comes to choreography. It's hard to not notice what's playing overhead when you watch that movement happen. That's a much longer conversation of how to choose music. But it's good to figure out, are there lyrics or are there not lyrics? If there are lyrics, maybe those words tune me into the concept a little bit. Imagine, let's do one more, closing the eyes just to visualize some time. Imagine all the dancers are moving frantically. There's 10 bodies on the stage and they're running around, jumping, rolling, sprinting, chassing, galloping. And then all of a sudden the music cuts out and the dancers begin to move in slow motion, as if gravity ceased to exist. And now open your eyes. How did that maybe feel as you visualized that, seeing that chaos and then dissolving into floating? Yes?
The power pause. That always frames a great performance, is the power pause. You're waiting for what's going to happen next. You don't know.
Exactly. We had an audience member share the power of pause, which is very important in dance, right? We always see the dancers moving, but almost when a dancer is not moving, and you have a chance to really see that body in the shape it's making or in the space that it's holding, you can really be impacted by that time. Thank you. On to our very last element. E is energy. So on top of body, action, space, and time, we have our final essential element. Energy helps us identify the emotions behind the work. For example, imagine a touch between 2 dancers. It could be soft and nurturing, or it could be aggressive. You can have a push, a shove, or an embrace, or an aggressive embrace, as if they won't get off, right? We can notice how just these ways that 2 bodies can connect, the way that their energy is held as they go to connect, can really help the audience understand what the relationship of those dancers is, to help understand what the work is trying to say. In dance, we look to Rudolf Laban, who developed Laban movement analysis, which is a means of conceptualizing, describing, and assessing the ways that humans move their bodies. This wasn't necessarily meant for just dance. A lot of actors actually use the LMA studies to figure out how different emotions can read in the face or in the body as they go through scenes. Laban references motion factors. We have 4 different motion factors, which each have 2 variations. We have time. This can be quick, accelerated. It can be sustained, where we're moving slowly, or it can be a combination of the 2, right? Then we have flow. It can be direct. I can know exactly where I'm looking and who I'm talking to. Or it can be indirect, where I can look out and I'm just speaking my words out into the space. Or in dance, I can look at my hand and know exactly where I'm looking. Or maybe an indirect would be I'm floating throughout space as I move about the stage. We talk about weight, strong versus light. We also sometimes refer to this as pressure, right? So if you think about, I can place my hand on a table with light pressure, or I can place my hand with increased pressure, right? More of a push. And last, we have space. This refers to if your energy is bound within your body, or if you're letting that energy explode out into space. In dance, we talk about how quick, strong, direct, and bound marry well together. They create a nice harmony. You have to think, if I'm moving quickly, I need to be using strong weight, right? I need to know exactly where my muscles are contracting, what muscles are contracting, what's working. I also need to be very direct when I'm moving quick, right? If I'm driving a car really, really fast, indirectly, that's cause for an accident. And then I also need to be bound. If I need to move quickly, but my energy is getting away from me, it's hard for me to bring that energy back into me. We then say sustained, light, indirect, and free go together. This is sort of that floating quality that you might see dancers do, that way that they're able to manipulate time and space and create a different environment, even when we're in 4 wooden walls. So imagine I put together quick, but with indirect, light, and free space. That might be a dance about a firefly, maybe thinking about the path of maybe a bumblebee, right? They move very quick, and they're very, maybe, actually, I think you could argue that bees are pretty direct. They know exactly what they're looking for. But their approach is very light, and their energy is quite free, too, until they land somewhere. Wow, I understand that was quite a bit. So now that we've had a very quick, hearty meal, a nice overview of choreographic elements, I'd like us to watch just a few recent excerpts from Wellspring's repertoire. The first will be a work that was premiered by Cori Terry in fall of 2022. Her work actually also had a program note. This is something we have not discussed yet as far as titling dances and program notes. But sometimes a choreographer will put in a little quote or maybe some roles for a dance to help the audience understand. For instance, I've gone to performances where they have so-and-so is playing the mother, so-and-so is playing the daughter, and so-and-so is playing the mad scientist. So if I, as the audience, know that these 3 roles exist, I can at least watch this work and understand, okay, there's a mom, a daughter, and a mad scientist. What's going on? And then I get to process. Cori had a quote that truly inspired and launched the work that she created last fall. The quote is, think about it. There is no experience you've had that you are not at the absolute center of, by David Foster Wallace. So with that quote, we will watch a brief excerpt. This is the second half of her first section. Enjoy. Oh, I meant to say, try to pick out maybe 1 or 2 different elements that you want to question or have in the back of your mind as you watch. Maybe you're looking at the energy of the dancers. Does it seem like it's bound in their bodies, or does it seem like it's flying out into space? right clicking. Anything to note? Anything that stood out to you? Yes,
The
thank you.
energy of the whole performance, even when it slowed down or accelerated, you felt this tension.
Someone noted that they felt tension throughout the whole performance. There's sort of this existing little bit of a drive behind it. Yes.
It seems like a lot of modern pieces, the music that they choose is really dissonant. And I wonder if that's part of like what creates the tension. With these fluid, free movements, there's this dissonant, like string.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. Someone from the audience noted that the score of this piece, and she also said typically in modern dance, this is sort of something that she's noticed, there's sort of dissonance in the score. And that is something that a lot of choreographers will do, right? Because we want to have sort of this existing conflict sometime in dances. And the music can really help be that other voice, as if it's almost like another partner on the stage almost. But yes, there is sort of this atmosphere that is created with the score as well, especially going from this chorus, right? All these layered voices singing different flowers, and then it fades out quickly, and then all of a sudden we're left with ocean waves, right? So even just that sensory experience going from this vibrant chorus to a calming ocean wave, right? As the dancers are swirling about on the stage. Thank you for that. Yes?
Yeah, there was one scene kind of in the middle, which two are carrying one person, and it's smooth, it's flowing, and I think there are three that are carrying another person, and it's jerky. Contrast.
Thank you. Yes, we had another audience member point out the two lifts that happened sort of in the middle of the dance. We had one that went backwards in this very trusting way, and it almost looked like she flowed backwards. Cori actually mentioned her kind of looking like a piece of driftwood in that moment, sort of just letting the ocean take them. Whereas the other lift that was happening at the same time was a little bit more tossy, a little bit more aggressive, as if the body was then being taken out of the water and then taken back down. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was one of the dancers actually doing the lift of the one in the corner, and I never noticed that. So thank you for providing that insight. We are coming close on time, so I'd like to just leave you with one more little excerpt. We'll have time for maybe one comment from that. Here we go. This is the work that I choreographed personally back in fall of 2022. This is Absolute Synergy. This is the start of this dance, and we'll only watch about a minute and a half of it. Oh, I keep right clicking. Anything to note from that brief excerpt?
Great ending.
Thank you. Another gentleman?
There's a lot of texture that's provided by the light, shape of the light.
Yes. Yes, we had an audience member call out the texture that the lighting adds. So on top of all the body, action, space, time, energy, all the motion factors and the music, we also have lighting. We didn't even discuss what the dancers are wearing too. But we can see how there's all these layers to modern dance when you watch it. And I encourage you, if you go to experience modern dance, to just try, drop into your body, let the experience, let those moves settle in your gut the way that they do. But maybe you go into the performance and say, I'm gonna notice just their time. Are they moving quickly or slowly? And these can just sort of open up different awarenesses in your own brain when you watch dance. And will then start to then slowly train the brain to engage and process modern dance. I did want to talk briefly about my personal choreographic experience, but we are coming up on time. So if you would like to at all chat with me a little bit after, I'm happy to chat with you. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank the Kalamazoo Institute of the Arts again for hosting us. And Wellspring has a few different opportunities coming up for you to engage with modern dance and ask more questions and get a little bit more insight into the choreographer's mind. We have coming up on November 3rd, we will be hosting an open rehearsal in the Wellspring Theater from 6 to 7 p.m. You'll get a peek into the company preparing for their upcoming fall concert. It's come and go as you please. We would love to have you. Then we have our WMUK classical interview with Carol Lawrence, myself, as well as artistic director and founder Cori Terry, and executive director Kate Yancho. We chat with Carol Lawrence about our upcoming performance, and we talk about the music involved in it. We talk about the dancers, the presentation, how we're feeling about it all. We will be talking with her at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, November 7th. So after you vote early in the day, then you can go and just give it a listen at 10. And last, we have our fall concert of dance, Throughline. This will be November 17th to the 19th in the Wellspring Theater. I want to invite you to join us so that you can use the tools that you have just learned about. If you would like to purchase tickets for anything, you're welcome to see Kate Yancho in the back of the room, and she's happy to help you out. Or if you would like to just get a little postcard with season dates so that you can see where you can see us next, we're happy to give you those too. Kate has those as well. Thank you again for your time, and I hope you have a great Tuesday.
Great presentation. No, very impressed with your professionalism. I mean, no, seriously, what a thing, what you do. So, the parking lot that I'm at, is that with